Hey everyone, just want to give a quick recap for Cycle 2, Week 5. So, in our community today, in our classroom, we went through our new grammar session, and again, for the most part, it was pretty straightforward. We did move into, for Latin, we moved into first conjugation endings, future tense. So one thing with the various tenses, we've had present tense, um, and I think it starts with O, like OST, must to son. So when you think of present tense, you think of I've received a present. And then we've done imperfect tense, which starts off with the bomb, and a bomb. If the bomb goes off, things are not going to be perfect. They're going to be imperfect because of the damage. So, and then today moved into future. So we think of a bow shooting an arrow into the future. So just kind of things to remember, to prompt the students as they think about these different conjugation endings for Latin. For science, we had two experiments. We had expanding and in and out. So expanding, the purpose was to demonstrate how a balloon with some marker dots on it could emulate our galaxies expanding throughout the universe. So we each had a balloon. We had a Sharpie. We blew up the balloon to about the size of an apple. We put 20 dots onto the balloons, and then blew it up further. And what these students observed is that as the balloon got bigger, the dots on the balloon got further and further apart. So this is supposed to emulate galaxies in the universe getting further and further away from each other. And scientists believe that, there are various scientists that believe that this is what they're observing in the universe is galaxies are moving further and further away. They believe there was like a beginning at a certain point in time, and as the universe has expanded, the galaxies have gotten further and further apart. So that's what we were trying to replicate in a sense using balloons. And then we had In and Out, which was another experiment where we were looking at planets or satellites or moons that orbit around something else. We know the planets, in our solar system, the planets orbit the sun, and with planets you may have moons that orbit a planet or satellites. And I recalled recently how just this Saturday, I had the chance of seeing that rocket, that SpaceX rocket that actually launched around 7:30, and I could see it in the sky going along the eastern seaboard, and it actually was carrying 52 satellites were going to be deployed into space. So I kind of use that example as talking about how the satellites actually orbit around the Earth. So we had a piece of string about a yard long, and we tied it to a metal spoon, and that piece of string went through a spool of thread, and at the other end it was tied to a piece of masking tape. So we held the masking tape here, and then we took the spool and the spoon, and we just spun it like so, and then eventually would let go of the tape. And what they could see or observe is that the tape, masking tape, would basically stay in one spot. It wouldn't move like the spoon was. So we were trying to demonstrate centripetal force, which focuses on the force is put upon an object as it moves around in orbit. So there's a couple things that are in play. You have the gravity from like the sun that may pull on a planet, or you may have the gravity of the Earth that pulls on the moon or pulls on the satellite. At the same time, you have those objects that are in space are moving in a forward motion. So kind of those two things combined is what causes the centripetal force, and the planet or the satellite or the moon actually moving in its orbit around the sun or the whatever planet or what have you. So that's kind of what we talked about in science. And then for fine arts, we had perspective. So we just practiced drawing various shapes in 3D form. We had the vanishing points, where we used perspective to draw like a road and make it look like it was going further and further into the distance. And we also practiced drawing our names and other stuff in perspective type scenarios as well. So that was week 5, and you may have noticed your student may have brought home some sheets, worksheets, and they are nothing that needs to be completed for next week. It's all extra credit. We've been having this reward system going on. It's based on attendance and how they do in class, and this is just an extra credit opportunity for them to take home. Just basically grammar review stuff that we've been working on. This is all from the Sandbox in Classical Conversations Online. So it's just a piece of work from each piece of grammar from each of the weeks we've gone through so far, and they can quickly go through it, and if they bring it back in, they'll be compensated for it. So it's not a requirement, it's just they have the option to take them home and do them and bring them back for extra credit. So I'll send an email too with those documents in case you would want to reference them. And that's it for week 5. Have a great week. Thanks.